Inmendham video. Yay. Yeah, it's a little tough making videos, sorry. A lot of stuff. Just, I'm doing the physics thing, which is a huge distraction. Brain has to think. And, irritating. And now I got this problem here and this where I live. They're selling the property. And, lots of changes to come. Some good. They're going to spend some money on the places, but the bad news is, well, they might make it so I can't live here anymore. Rich people only. But anyway, we'll see. But anyway, I have to do a lot of whatever planning and figuring what's, explaining the condition of the current stuff. Anyway, so then I have my garden. So lots of distractions. Anyway, just explaining why I'm just not as I should be. Am usually. It's whatever. I'm also tired. I just been, I did quit drinking coffee, right? So I know it's a couple ass question. I mean, mostly it's just ruining my teeth. My teeth are just terrible. I just don't think it's good for you to be dependent on the chemistry of coffee, especially the caffeine. So, I know I lived for years without it, and I did fine, and I'm just trying to go back to that. And, but yeah, it's really hard to get going. But it might be depression of some kind also, because people are depressing on the internet. They can cause you to sink into depression interacting with humans. No, they say they're human. Yeah, maybe. Nothing like they're doing human in a way I haven't seen it, or I don't understand it. And I'm not familiar with this version of human. But anyway. Yeah, so I guess I should. No, I'll wait till the what the fuck to deal with Hawthorne Day. So anyway, AntiBullshitMan made a video, and he left a comment somewhere about some guy called Jordan something or other, Jordan Peterson, and I should somehow be and pick a fight with him. The problem is he sounds like that the Power of Myth guy. What the hell was his name? Bill Moyers and that. I can't remember names. Damn it. But anyway, that guy. And I mean, all these metaphorical. Let's go back into history and find heroes and do all of this bullshit. And that's really irritating. I just don't know if I want to argue with somebody who's just going to tell stories all day. Anecdotal stories of success. I'm not doing that right now. No. I'm not going to tell you twice. No. Okay. I'm not going to, so yeah, I don't know if I really want to get into that argument. So anyway, but he was talking about this guy, and he's talking to Sam Harris, and AntiBullshitMan is obviously not satisfied with either one's dealing with the reality of the ethics kind of questions. And morality and all that kind of bullshit. And so a thought I had on that subject was that I just thought I would bring up is that the problem is that our nature creates a certain ethic, a certain selfish ethic that's built into this machine. The incessant desire mechanism, satisfy a need, and a new one will just, like a Pez dispenser, you'll just keep finding things to worry about. Because that's how we're built. We're built to just keep running on the find flaws, find things to fix. And I don't mean fix in necessarily a good way. I mean, usually the word fix means fix something that's really broken. I just mean fix in the sense of she's getting more boyfriends than me. He's got a bigger, than me. And, this kind of crap where we have to engineer superior positions and, do I keep up with the Joneser thing and all that kind of crap? Joneser. Ew. That's a scary memory. But anyway, so that's the natural ethic. And then we have this cultural ethic, this cultural memes and such, of the nation, the nation, the nation, or the state, the state, the state, or the town, the town, the town, and this is the driving Pez dispenser thing, where it has its own needs. And you fix one thing and it's got to fix something else, and you got to fix something else, and it has all these imperfections that are constantly there and constantly demanding attention from our culture. We must preserve our culture. We must, blah blah blah. And technology, 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 or whatever. All of these drivers. That this is the good life, manufacturing the good life. And this is always depends on the version of human you are. There's the people who are obviously full now of the anti for different reasons. The anti because the darkies are taken over, or the women's are taken over, or and then there's the people who are afraid of the technology. The genetically engineered food. Run away. Scared of technology because they think all technology is polluting the environment, making things worse, and blah blah blah. So this is another kind of ethic that's built in. These are the values. So you have these crappy values from nature, which are so frickin' selfish. Then you have these crappy values of just traditions and superficial thinking. 9/11 was an inside job. Superficial treatments of the reality and the causes and the effects, and who's to blame. It's the bankers. It's the Fed. They just find some scapegoat to blame. So it's like a scapegoat kind of morality or ethics, where if we just kill the Fed, everything will be just fine. Kind of bullshit. And really, that's all we have. So we have this bastard child of morality that's built on these two things, and it's just they both suck. So the genetic code going in is sucky nature and suckier culture, and it's one ugly baby that you get as a byproduct. And so what the real smart person should be doing is talking about neither one of those things as being legitimate sources of information, truth, understanding of what might be of real value in this game we're playing. Because those two things are idiocracy and a completely ignorant, unintelligent design, the selfish gene. And so, and so Sam Harris and this other guy are probably just missing that boat altogether. It sounds like the Jordan Peterson guy is a guy who's all obsessed with this natural, tendency to winnow out the weak, and preserve the strong. Sam Harris is doing more of the, but that's not what we're really living for, is just to build strong humans in some arbitrary definition of strong. You want strong in some sort of the meaningful definition of strong. Like they have good character, they're intelligent. Yes, maybe they're not genetically great, maybe they can't jump 2 feet off the ground, they can't, but that stuff doesn't matter. Maybe they don't have arms and legs. He's saying there's more to life than being more to contribution than just some sort of Olympic test that's testing for one thing. Too myopic. So I guess I would argue that Sam Harris is more capable of appreciating there's different roads to a good solution, and the one guy is just kind of saying, no, you got to do it this winnowing way, you got to do it this kill the weak way, or something like that, metaphorically. Kill them in the sense that don't give them power, don't give them control, don't give them blah blah blah, whatever that might be. Like I don't know anything about this Jordan guy, so I don't know. I'm just going based on a cursory perception, based on barely listening to AntiBullshitMan. Because sometimes I can barely listen to him. But anyway, I didn't even watch the whole video, so I'm not even being totally fair to whatever he was arguing. Entirely. I just thought the subject is somewhat interesting of why people fall short, sort of what it's saying, in a way. I mean, I think anti-bullshit's critique is that the logic stops at a certain point with all of these people, and they don't take it that one step further to recognize, the sort of obvious truths. So people do this all the time in comments, and I have to go through all this stuff, and this is another thing I have to do on this channel. I just have to. I have to categorize videos on subjects so I don't have to do this repetitive bullshit where it's in the other video, but yeah, it's 5 minutes in another video, and it's who knows where that video is, and there's so many videos, and the titles aren't necessarily very helpful sometimes in describing the content of the video. And it's not very easy to describe the content of the video sometimes because there's a lot of subjects in the video. But yeah, I have to be more methodical, as I've tried to do in the past by isolating it to words and subjects, and I'll try to do that. Just be more technical in the provision of my argument, in terms of having a way of finding it. So anyway, the point was that somebody made a comment. What the hell? Now I forgot the relevance of the comment. I was going to comment about the comment. Come to me or not. Yeah, I'm just too distracted, so I guess I'll just continue and hopefully it'll pop into awareness of what the point I wanted to make about that common argument that keeps coming back. Yeah, it has to do with intelligence. Yeah, and so he was diminishing the capacity of bugs to be significant because again he thinks the value of our experience, the quality of our life, is somehow dependent on our intelligence. And I think somebody can logically understand that you don't have to be very intelligent to be afraid, terrified, and to feel sensations. It's not an intellectual function, and that the basic function of reward and punishment, which is sensation, would have to be one of the rudimentary functions to the capacity for reasoning to mean anything. Logic and reasoning doesn't mean anything if you already don't have a system that has identified value. So the way to identify value is to create sensation. So this argument that somehow animals are less sensate, less capable of having a rich experience as a sensation, you're fooling yourselves. That's just illogical because it's the more rudimentary function. The feelings came first. It's just the way it has to be for the rest of it to make any sense. The rest of it doesn't have any value. Your neurons, your thinking process has no functional utility if you don't have the motivating mechanism, and more importantly, the mechanism that establishes importance, value, need, passion, and that sensation that does that. But this is one of these cultural memes. This is just cultural rubbish. People have traditionally lived with this notion that the animals were made by God for our utility, and they really haven't gotten up to speed in terms of thinking it in the real terms, which are, these are just our relatives, and they're basically our autistic nephews or something, you could call them. Our nephews are autistic and retarded, so they're dumb and they're fucked up, but there's absolutely nothing about that that means they don't panic, and they don't have fear, and they don't have terror, and they don't have pain. There's nothing in that. And so how are you treating your family here on this planet? They're not, the animals weren't placed here for your utility. I mean, if you're an atheist, that's an idiotic notion to still have in your head, that they somehow are here for you to use and to make into rugs and shit. They're your ancestors. They're where you came from. They're your people, so to speak. And the fact is they're just as much real in terms of their value, the value of their experience, And the only thing that's different is they don't do the 2 plus 2 thing. And they don't do the let's have a conversation about our symbolic representations of our life experience. But they are experiencing. Alright. And that's a big fucking problem. And it's a big huge void, and a black hole of dumbness that exists in all socially acceptable populist conversations about ethics and our dilemma here on Earth, is that imbecility of not recognizing what really has value. And you could even, and look, all the religious crap just gets so much in the way, because yes, we're not really, realistically, people just have this whole gushy, mushy feeling about, oh, babies and fetuses and all this stuff. But yeah, if it's a gorilla fetus, somehow it's not a fetus that matters. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. That we're not judging things based on what they are. We're judging them based on some traditional, notional pile of crap that doesn't have anything to do with what's really happening here. So the underlying theme to all this is, when you go down to, like, Anti-Bullshit-Man doesn't like, so he uses all these terms for these people and puts them to account consequentialist and value ethicist and all this kind of shit. And that just, I mean, I'm not willing to get up to speed and all that bullshit vernacular. But there seems to be a big disconnect between me and him, in the sense that I just say the absolute is the absolute. The end result, the net product, is all the thing that matters. And you know, we can do this social contract kind of thing and say, okay, we must have a social contract. And I guess I would concede, yes, that's true. But if push comes to shove, in the sense that you really have something at huge stake, a value of huge, like that black hole of protecting animals, some kind of huge thing of value that's just been ignored by our bad memes, ideas, notions, then violating the social contract is entirely legitimate for that purpose. And so, like, he's kind of offended by the idea that I would say that if you could, say, eradicate all of the sentient organisms, all of the animal organisms on Earth with some simple act that required just one organism to be tortured, one Jesus Christ to nail to a cross, he would find that objectionable, that you would impose on that one for this greater good. I think that's his bent. And to me, that's just a social contract violation. And that in truth, if you're certain of the outcome, and you have good reason for it, and there's nothing in your logic that you can find to be suspect, it would be a huge crime not to take advantage of the great deal you've been offered, you know, to damage one thing to prevent damage to a zillion others. That kind of thing. Anyway, that's a paraphrase of what I think has been some disagreements with me and him in the past. Because I don't think the social contract is just utility. So until one of us gets a big enough gun and has enough confidence to be the dictator about it, you know, legitimate confidence. I mean, it's the minute you're resorting to propaganda or doing anything dishonest to defend your philosophy, well, then you don't have a legitimate claim to jumping the social contract. But the truth is, if you can prevent some horrible future by committing some minor crime against the social contract, I think you do have an obligation to act. Yeah. I mean, if I believed there was some steady road that just progressively led to the truth winning, if the guys in the white hats are inevitably going to win, you know, it's just a jagged line to get there, I'd say maybe not. But clearly that's not the world we exist in a sense that idiocracy has huge potential to keep us constantly tied to the quicksand, and then we'll never get free of it. And that's really what this is about, is cutting the ropes that are binding us from actualizing intelligent ocracy, progressing out of the swamp of bad traditions and bad notions of what we are here as programmed machines. And that's what we are. We're just so fucking mechanical, so fucking reflexive, and there's nothing beautiful about that when really understood for what it means consequentially, and to realize that everything that we aspire to, that we deem precious, is just a projection. Most of the stuff for most people, they're just projecting value onto this silly aesthetics. The pretty woman versus the ugly woman. This is not this is not a place to derive your understanding of the actual value in the actual universe. That is a disgusting bias built into this disgusting mechanism. The machine is an asshole. And the only thing that really has value here are the bits of truth that we can glean out of all these bad traditions. Little bits of knowledge we can say there's something right about that. Do unto others as you have others do unto you. Now, maybe as a statement it's not completely right, but as a theme there's something right in there. And the rightness is built into the idea that the other thing and me are really the same qualitatively, and one can't win by destroying the other. Now, it doesn't say that, but that's in there. And it's also in there that if you don't want a conflict, don't throw the first stone. If you don't want a machine war, don't get into a fight with the machines. Don't cause it's a reflexive machine. Don't make it reflex. Just as you won't need to respond to asshole if something doesn't asshole on you. So don't be an asshole to somebody else. So it has to do with not only how our machines get into waste of time competitions, but it also just has a general statement. It gives you this understanding that you can't win by having a zillion autistic nephews that you don't take care of, that you leave to torment and torture, that you're then just being the master of a hideous Freddy's nightmare. You're not the master of a beautiful plantation and everything's wonderful and everything's great and everybody does well, and everybody's healthy and happy. No, you're not. You're the owner of a concentration camp, and you have no right to be proud of that. You have no right to think it's okay. It's my concentration camp. So anyway, so I don't know. I could ramble on for an awful long time, but I guess the point I'm getting to is that the higher order philosophy is once you do recognize that you're just a program machine, and that the programming can be anything, just about. We can program children into being any kind of human. And that there's program, and I've made this argument before. There's the thing you live as a life, and then there's the thing you live as a influence, and those two things can be separated. So you can accept your dilemma of being a needful, wanting, selfish asshole, as long as you barrier it and don't allow the asshole to leak into the future and to implicate the welfare of the future. And but that, I don't think most people are most people can't concede the existence of the dilemma, let alone the fact that that solution requires a little bit of discipline and being very careful in how you live your life in terms of what you advocate for, and to recognize that you're investing in nonsense like colonizing space or some other kind of stuff. There's no legitimacy to this silly Have it.